Hey guys, Paulie from the Complete Personal Trainer podcast and Meldrum Performance Coaching and blah blah blah. So today's podcast taking a little change of tact compared to what we've been doing. So recently we've been going through body part training tips. Yesterday we did lower back training, how to actually work around lower back injuries in rehab, and then we talked about back, and we talked about back training for hypertrophy, strength and athleticism, quads, etc. So yeah, lots of different things, but today's one is that macronutrients are dumb. So this isn't something that I said. This is said by Dave Asprey, who is the bulletproof executive. So to give you an idea of what Dave Asprey did, he he's kind of like the guy who's like popularized biohacking, which is basically, tweaking and cheating your biology. So using different hacks and systems to get things functioning. Now, as a general idea, biohacking, has its pros and has its cons. Like, we do have technology that can help us get better. So for things like biohacking for a triathlete, compression tights are really, really good. The ones that go, like the Normatec is the most popular brand, Payon's probably the best, but they're a really good way of improving recovery. Weight training is hacking performance, really, if you think about it, because it's not something that we ever really did. We created it to improve performance parameters. But so there's some good ideas there, but the bulletproof diet is, not the best. But the simple statement that macronutrients are dumb is borderline asinine for a diet that literally says the most important macronutrient you need to have are fats. So a lot of people will listen to this and go, yeah, macronutrients are dumb. I don't need to calculate my calories. I don't need to worry about hitting adequate protein, adequate carbohydrates. But hell, I gotta make sure I get my two tablespoons of butter and my medium chain triglycerides in my morning coffee to put me into ketosis. So that is silly. So with macronutrients are dumb, this then leads us into the discussion that not all macronutrients are created equal, not all calories are created equal. And people get really passionate and they get really uninformed, and you will have to deal with questions about this as a personal trainer. So here's a couple of tips of how to deal with it. When someone is doing something like a bulletproof diet, intermittent fasting, or keto, or anything like that, what you want to do is ask them this simple question: how's that working for you? Because what we're doing as PTs is we can't give nutrition plans, we can't give meal plans, but we can certainly influence our clients away from things that might be potentially harmful to them. Now, that being said, those things by themselves aren't necessarily harmful for all people. Some people might actually thrive in that. It's probably going to be outliers, people on either end of the bell curve. People are generally not going to do too well on all those different things. So when you ask how that's doing for you, what you then need to do is then you need to put in the qualitative and quantitative measures. So what I mean by that, by qualitative, that's how they feel. How do their energies feel? How does their energy level feel? How's their sleep? How's their focus? How's their ability to go off diet and eat something that's not on it and to not feel like crap? Like, these type of things are quite important to get, because a lot of the time people will feel really good on these type of meal plans. Doesn't necessarily mean they are feeling good. So we need to quantify that and actually ask a few more questions to figure out what's going on. Now, in terms of quantitative measures, this is where it becomes a lot easier for us to do. So if someone is doing like a high-fat, keto, bulletproof diet type thing, or biohacking with a ton of different supplements, a really good idea, and something that they will be very inclined to do, because of the whole idea of biohacking, is to get them to go get blood work done. So blood work, we actually want to see if their cholesterol is going through the roof, if we see that there's any kind of issues with their liver going on, all these types of things. So things that we're not going to diagnose at all, but we want them to actually get quantitative measures of how well their approach is doing for them. And then their doctor, a person who's very qualified to do this, will be able to say, all right, cool, your cholesterol is like, well, in Australia, 8 point something milligrams, like really, really high. How are you eating? Oh, well, I'm following this diet. Well, don't. They'll take care of that for us on our behalf. Next thing would be performance measures. And as we know by now that most strength training measures are going to be fueled purely by glucose, like glycolytic stuff. So we can actually shift their training in that condition to see how they go, as a little bit of a push towards that. Or we can simply measure their progress over time. And we can do that with body composition measures. We can do that with performance measures. It doesn't really matter. Generally, the more the better. And people will improve just by the sheer act of training. But what you can do is you could get someone to do an experiment where they put in a little bit of carbs in their diet, and they might do like a 6-minute modified Cooper's test, which is running as far as you can on a treadmill in 6 minutes. And just when doing that routine twice, you're probably not going to get that much better. But that's a cheeky way to kind of show a client that, hey, these carbs aren't actually bad for them, and they can actually be really beneficial for boosting performance. And people come to the point now where they say, oh, well, not all calories are created equal, and it's about quality, not the quantities that you eat. That's something that you should definitely tell people that you agree with, because there's things like micronutrients, etc. But there is a time when foods that are a little bit not nutrient dense are probably going to be better for you, and explain that. So in one situation, having like a really high fiber, carbohydrate and fatty meal, high fiber and high fat meal before doing an endurance activity isn't going to go too well for anyone. Doesn't digest quickly, you're going to feel sluggish, you're going to feel crap, you might poo your pants, like a number of different things could happen. Having a lower nutrient density, low fiber, high carbohydrate meal without fat before the exercise that's high intensity and high duration will lead to much better performance. So that's something that you need to keep in mind, and something that you can communicate to your people to help them get better outcomes and to make better choices for themselves. So guys, when people come up to you with these crazy statements like macronutrients are dumb, cool, listen to it, realize that it's not the smartest thing, but they are being influenced by other people. And no matter what your clients are doing, the question, how's that working for you, will help you cut through all the noise and actually figure out if that plan is working for them or not working for them. The number one nutritional principle of all clients and all my students at NPC is no dogma. So that also means that we don't believe in there's a perfect diet plan or anything like that. There's what works for each individual person. That also goes to things like keto, intermittent fasting, and all those types of things can work for some people. We just need to quantify that first. Thanks heaps for watching, guys. Pleasure talking to you all, and be back on the body part training track tomorrow.